All right, the last two slides for section 5.2 are looking at table 5.3, and this is looking at another way that viruses can be classified. I've already mentioned this, but viruses only have one type of nucleic acid. They're either DNA or they are RNA viruses. All right, so scientists can use their nucleic acid to group viruses. And as you see here, the top part of table 5.3 has DNA viruses. And then on the bottom half are the RNA viruses. DNA viruses can be further divided into double-stranded DNA viruses and then single-stranded RNA viruses. The RNA viruses have a couple more options in terms of their structure or their arrangement, and therefore ways to classify them. They can be single-stranded positive polarity, single-stranded negative polarity, double-stranded RNA, and then single-stranded RNA reverse transcriptase. And again, this is material or information that if you were in a virology course, you might actually need to know and to memorize and to understand that or know that poliovirus is a single-stranded positive sense RNA virus. But again, that doesn't serve your memory compartments well at this point in your career. So this slide is simply to reiterate that viruses only have one type of nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA, and it's a means of classifying them. Now, another piece of information real fast going back to this slide. All right, the type or the number, the amount of genetic material in a virus can vary greatly. So, for example, E. coli, nice example of bacteria cell, has 4,000 genes, or around 4,000 genes. Hepatitis virus, all right, hepatitis virus only has 4 genes. All right, that's a huge difference between just a bacteria cell and a virion. 1,000 times more DNA in the bacteria cell than the virus. So that kind of makes sense when you think about the fact that the virus has to get into a host cell to do anything, because it can't do anything on its own. It doesn't have that much genetic material. And then the herpes viruses, I want you to have an example here. I mentioned that herpes viruses have a lot of DNA. Right? Those are kind of like the mother lode, the mothership of viruses when you're thinking about the amount of DNA. And herpes viruses have hundreds of genes. So those are large. They do a lot of damage. They have to do a lot. They have to direct a lot once they get into the host cell. But big range in the amount of genetic material. All right, then other substances that can be found in the virion, or the virus particle, are different enzymes. All right, so enzymes are going to be present for specific operations within their host cell. Some of them will carry polymerases that are able to synthesize DNA and RNA. Some of them have their own replicase. And if you remember from hopefully another class, that ACEs, the ending of a word in ACEs means enzyme. So replicase is an enzyme that is going to copy RNA. It replicates, and you can use the R to remember RNA. Replicases copy RNA. And then you have reverse transcriptase, which you've probably heard before in regards to HIV virus being a reverse transcriptase virus. And in that case, the virus has RNA in it, and it can utilize its reverse transcriptase to synthesize DNA, and then that DNA is what functions in the host cell. But while these enzymes these viruses may carry some enzymes, they completely lack the genetic material for synthesis of the basic metabolic enzymes. What it needs to do to replicate its DNA in general, to make lots of it, to form new virions. What it needs to synthesize the proteins to create the capsomeres, to create the capsids. All of that has to rely on the host cell. All right, and then some viruses may actually carry away substances from their host cell. So retroviruses borrow the host's tRNA molecules. They will borrow some of the cell membrane or the nuclear envelope or the reticulum, endoplasmic reticulum, if they leave the cell with an envelope. So that's why they're called obligate intracellular parasites. They utilize the host with 100% reliability on that host cell. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anything to the virus.